Alright, this is a test. Trying to figure out where you can see me at. Okay, right there. Gonna be driving. Got my headphones on. I'm sitting at a rest stop now and I just got into South Carolina heading back north. Gotta put the glasses back on. There we go. I don't know if anybody's gonna be on or not. I wish I had a bigger screen. I'm not gonna be able to see the chat. But I'm just gonna talk for a little bit about my experience being down in Port Charlotte and North Fort Myers. And mainly, I want to get the point across of how, you know, a lot of people need a lot of help. But a lot of people that are there who've went through the whole thing from start to finish really are some of the most strong people I probably have ever met and encountered. And the people who are coming to help are just amazing. So I'm trying to figure out where's the best place to start, but I guess I'll just start from the building up of the hurricane, and I'll just kind of tell you what I how I was thinking about it and what I was thinking and everything, and we'll take it from there. We'll go from there. Like I say, I'm driving on the interstate, so I'm not going to be able to interact if anybody comes on. If nobody doesn't come on, it's okay. I don't really expect anybody to, because this is the first live stream I've ever attempted to do. This is just a way for me to get my story out there and get other people's story out there, and mainly the people who I feel like really need to be, it needs to be made known of how bad this is and the things that they've been going through. So I have a lot of thoughts and different ideas of what I want to talk about going through my mind, but I feel like to truly do it justice, I would have to talk about the very beginning. So, when everything started coming in and it got serious, that like, okay, yeah, it is really coming to Florida. Of course, we immediately were concerned about my niece and my family who was there, and wanting everybody to be safe and wanting them to really, we always want to, my niece, she's got the babies. We always want her to come stay with us somewhere in Tennessee, Kentucky, whatever, or even just go to North Florida. But she didn't do it, and she's a big girl, she's in her 30s. She's got a husband. They make their own decisions, so that was fine. But we were really concerned, and she was like, as usual, not as concerned as us because they're more used to it. And she was, like, it's going north of us. And then within less than a 24-hour period, like all of you I'm sure are aware by now, it shifted. And then she's like, well, it's too late. I'm not going to go. And still in my mind, I was like, you could at least go to Ocala or Citra or Palatka or somewhere where we got family. Go to the other coast or whatever. And, I guess like after Irma, it was such a nuisance to try to get back home. So they didn't go. So that, it's fine. They wrote it out right there in their house, and their house did really wonderful. But I feel bad for the 5-year-old. The baby, she's 6 months old. I don't think she was probably even affected. She said she just slept right through it. But the 5-year-old, when you're 5, you have enough senses about you to know that, stuff's scary at 5. Everything's changing in life at 5. You're you're going away from home for the first time, and especially if you've been born during this since 2020, you've been dealing with all this, you know, stuff that was going on since 2020, and then, you know, all of a sudden you gotta go conform to all these rules, and then as soon as you're doing that for a couple months, then natural disaster comes calling. And so I have felt really bad for her. I think she's had some time through it, but my sister was concerned about her too. And so once Ian hit, they got a little bit of damage. They lost a lot of their outside stuff, a little bit of damage to the house. And so I was immediately, you know, thinking about her and wanting to go check on her and them and all that. But then I see how horrible it's gotten down there south of them: Sanibel, North Fort Myers Beach, Pine Island, Matlacha, Marco Island. Everything just devastated. And, you know, I knew I wanted to go, and then I saw Grindstone. I saw Bear Independent talking about how, you know, he was going to deploy, going to try to get some intel, try to find out what's going on, how he can help, how he can be of service. And I've been watching Bear for a few years now, and I just always feel so inspired by him, the way he'll just, you know, basically drop everything out in the middle of Oklahoma and just take off to go to wherever he's needed, and take a large group of people with him most of the time, or get us stragglers who were stationed in different spots of the nation. And, you know, we pick up on his God, you know, his vibe, and, you know, his discernment. That's what I had to say about TJ Morris Bear. His discernment is impeccable. I know he would never want anybody to brag on him, but he just gets it. So anyway, I decide I'm going. No matter where I end up, I'm going for sure. I had a feeling like I wanted to go to wherever Bear's deploying people to. And through the next few days, I caught up on a couple of his videos, and, you know, he and Twitch have made it down there. Through another listener on YouTube, found out about the family, which I'm going to expound on here in a moment. And I just was like, I got to do it. I just got to go. I got to do this. So I tell my niece I'm coming. My sister, she was wanting to go the whole time. I knew she was. We were texting. I was like, I can hardly just sit here and not go. And she's like, I know, me too. But, you know, she's got a lot of commitment right now, in doing all of her helping cancer patients up there in Pikeville and everything. So she couldn't go and stay for a long time. But she talked about it with my niece, and they're like, no, let's get Amelia. Let's take her back to Kentucky until her schools go back. You know, Amelia's school in Port Charlotte was set up as one of the shelters, and they didn't know. They were thinking at the time school was going to go back at the end of the month, maybe the 1st of November. So we took off last Saturday morning, made it down Sunday morning, spent the day with my niece, you know, just realizing as soon as we got there that hardly any physical damage whatsoever, and her insurance people aren't going to be there until the 18th. But it was great to spend the day with her, get to see the baby, you know, her baby Liberty Ann. Got to meet her for the first time. That was awesome. And spend the day with them. And then my sister took Amelia, the 5-year-old, flew back to Knoxville on Monday morning. So as soon as they got headed on their way to the airport, I went to Walmart, go pick up a few supplies that I needed, because I knew, even though Port Charlotte, and I do have a little bit of footage of Port Charlotte, I'll probably load that stuff up when I get back home, when I get a chance, get everything caught up. I'll probably try to load a little bit of the Port Charlotte videos too. I mean, honestly, look, I want to say this first of all. I did not go to Florida to be a looky-loo, to be an ambulance chaser. I didn't go to Florida for anything like that. So I did not just go out and drive around, take a bunch of videos and pictures. That's not why I went. My heart called me to Florida. The Most High called me to go to Florida. So it's not about just going because I had to go see it. It's not like that. For a week I couldn't sleep because I was worried about people. So in hearing Bear's videos, and hearing Bear in his videos, and him talking about, the updates of what he found out and everything he found, and I'm gonna just, forgive me, Murphys, if I'm jumping the gun, but really nobody's gonna see this. I can't say nobody, maybe 100 people, maybe, on down the road or whatever, but this family, someone who listens to Bear on YouTube knew about, was like, man, this is a Gold Star family. The lady lost her son, Gary Gooch, in 2009, KIA in Juar, Afghanistan. 22 years old. Wonderful man. His sister, Keely, she was already in the Army before him. And she's a veteran now, disabled. Ran into some pretty serious physical problems with her, with some injuries while she was in the Army, and had all that going on, and then lost her brother Gary. And their mom, just, it's 11 years, 13 years. They're still trying to heal from this, I lost a brother young. It's been years now, my mom, our whole family, we're trying to heal from that still, and it's been, 25 years. So it's not something that most people will just glaze over, forget about, and go on. That's something that sticks with you for the rest of your life. But because of losing Gary, they were able to get the house where they were, and so there's a ton of memories there, and unfortunately they've lost so much through this hurricane. But I found out about them through Bear Independent. I emailed his admin at Grindstone Ministries, Katie Lynn, an administrator there. She got right back to me. I told her, I've got a pretty decent size load of, not really decent size, but good things to have, like work gloves, safety glasses, hearing protection, things like that. And I just been storing it up for nothing, just for holding on to for the future or whatever. And I was like, I want to bring those, donate them to Grindstone, donate them to this work site, this deployment, whoever needs them, pass them along to somebody else, however. And I'm not real sure. When I emailed her, I was like, I'm not real sure, how long I'd be able to stay, or if I can stay and help out or whatever, but I definitely want to go down and take that stuff down. And she's like, that's awesome. Thank you. Shalom. Blessings. So when I got there last Monday morning, I got there about 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. And it was on Monday morning, so it's during the week. A lot of people have to work. And when I got there, it was just the ladies. That's it. Just the mom, just the daughter. And I told them what I had. I told them, how I found out about them. And I knew I couldn't leave. That's just how I felt. Like, as soon as I got there, it's like, okay, I gotta be here now. This is what I'm gonna do. And so at first I was like, I stayed 2 or 3 days. I had been there hardly any time at all whatsoever. And Little Fig showed up. And Little Fig, he lives a couple hours north of the whole situation. And it's just got a huge, huge heart. If you're out there, man, you listen to me or you catch this live stream later, Shalom, you're an awesome dude through the grace of God. Had some wonderful fellowship with you, that's for sure. It's like it's like I got a lot of instant family this week. But back on track. So he came back because, well, he had always planned on coming back. He had been there the previous few days, and he had went back home, and there was another gentleman who had came down there, and I didn't get to meet him. Stu, awesome man, what you've done, but he had came in and he had brought a huge, big old box trailer full of a pantry that would keep somebody like a mobile prepper's pantry that would keep a family stocked up for like a year. I mean, tons of food, appliances, microwave, refrigerator, like 2 generators, all kinds of tools, all kinds of like cleaning supplies and stuff. And so backtrack a little bit. As soon as Bear started putting the word out of what this family had lost, little stragglers, one by one started hitting him up. And so it just so happens Aaron, really cool contractor guy, he lives right there in Lehigh, he had deployed with Bear. They had met each other during Hurricane Michael, worked together, and as soon as he found out that Bear was going to be getting on this, he was like, hey man, I'm here. I'm 15 minutes away. I'm local. Count me in. So Aaron, for right now, he's like boots on the ground, kind of in charge of what demo has been done and everything so far. Just making contacts, making connections, helping them out, getting them, resources for things. And that's really awesome. And, but Bear and Twitch, they got to get a game plan together. They got to get a crew together. So they're going the last week of October. Hopefully, if everything times out right, because you know how anything goes when a disaster hits. Now it's time where you're getting all the inspections, you're getting all the, the insurance company, and so right now it's been a little more than 2 weeks, and they're still trying to figure out all of the logistics of when everything's gonna happen. But anyway, in the meantime, exactly 1 week after Ian, Aaron, who's the local construction guy, had his crews over there with some volunteers who had already shown up, and they gutted the house. They pulled everything out that had gotten inundated with water, and they had mounds and mounds out on the street now of everything that these wonderful women have lost and had to go through and suffer. So I'll tell you their immediate story now of what was happening. Ian came through. They didn't evacuate because, like my niece, news reports were saying it was heading on up north, heading on up towards Tampa. They didn't leave. They had 3 foster girls there raising and helping, and they stayed there, and they got basically like a 1.5 story, 2-story home, like a loft area, single. It's just a really awesome, like 2 masters. That's what Keely said, we wanted to find a house with 2 masters. Basically, she knew her and her mom were going to be living together the rest of their lives, helping each other. So they found a house with 2 masters, and that's what they got. So that's their plan for, if our house floods, we'll go upstairs. Might be 6 inches of water. Water might get out back. It might get maybe in their shed. It might get back towards the pool area. But we're not going to get that much water, It's just... Then all of a sudden, like I say, that, was it Tuesday? I believe it would have been Tuesday, the 27th. The track started changing, it started shifting, and then it was like it just took a hard right. It sped up. It wasn't even supposed to hit till Wednesday night late. And by 11 o'clock Wednesday, they'd already lost power. And they unfortunately didn't have a weather band battery operated radio, which, thanks now to Little Fig, they do. They got a good radio now for emergencies. But they lost power, and then the water started coming in. And then they started realizing, oh man, this is getting serious. And they got a life raft, and they made the girls go upstairs. They've got, cats, really cute little kittens. They made all them go upstairs. And they got upstairs, and before you knew it, later on in that afternoon on Wednesday, they're sitting there in their loft looking at like 4 feet of water basically in their house. And they rode this thing out, and thankfully the wind was not as much there in North Fort Myers, at least not on their direction of North Fort Myers up close to Interstate 75, as it was over on, closer to the Bayside. They did have minimal damage on their roof, but they were already in the process of getting a lot of repairs and upgrades done to the house, because the house was getting to be, a little aged now, and they were actually in the process of going through paperwork and getting all that done to get ready to get the new roof on the house right when it happened. So now with what damage they did get, they're definitely getting a new roof. But they got through that. By the next day, the water was down. When Ian came through, it was high tide as well. I think that is one thing that's made the storm surge so much tougher. Ian coming through there during high tide. But anyway, got through there. They, were like, our house is flooded now. Our house is, it's destroyed. What are we going to do? And I'm just now sitting here realizing as I'm talking that I didn't get the exact timeline story, and I wonder what was going through their minds as they're sitting there thinking, what the heck are we gonna do before anybody started showing up. They went through a week of just, I'm sure, making, being on the phone a lot and talking to people and finding things out, but I'm sure it was really, really awful. And I regret now that we didn't talk about that exactly. But that would have been bad anyway, and we need to focus on the positive and moving on one day at a time, one step at a time. Keep on moving forward. Keep on working on getting the house better, getting your bodies better, getting your minds better, and getting healed up. So just been a really, really probably tough week for them. And then everybody shows up. Well, not everybody. I don't know, maybe 20. I'm not sure how many people showed up. Started ripping out sheetrock and all that. And then somehow another group, I'm not sure who they were, if they were connected through YouTube, knowing Grindstone, if they knew somebody else, I don't know, but they showed up on the weekend, mostly like college age kids, and helped carry more things out. And then so Fig and I were there on Monday, and I was like, yep, I'm not leaving, I'm staying. If you're okay with that, I want to stay, help out for a few days, do whatever I can. So I camped out in their yard and helped out, did whatever I can. I'm trying to sit here and think about it, and it's almost like it's a blur already. Like, I definitely did stuff, helped finish ripping out more sheetrock, carried things out, cleaned things up, organized, went around on the floors getting out sheetrock that was in the little cracks. But with all the physical, anything I did, I keep going back to, my heart keeps going back to just being there, being someone for them to talk to, being someone for them to spend time with, maybe tell stories to be, an outlet. And of course me, I don't mean to do it, and I always feel sorry afterwards, but I love to talk. So, I always have a story too, and I hope that I didn't talk too much. I hope that I let them talk enough. I never realized that about myself until after it's over with. But like I say, my heart just keeps going back to just feeling like, I was maybe there as a listening post, I don't know. As I was there the first day, the first evening, I met a guy named John, and he's their neighbor now. He owns the place next door. He didn't live there though. He lived in New York. It's gonna be his maybe his retirement down the road, his place to go, his nest egg, really. So he had it leased out to a family, and for him, he's like, it's a house, it's bones. It's ones who lost, all. She even lost a lot of memories. She lost kids' stuff. Husband was in the process of getting a job, and so that's what he went ahead and did, and that's where they went to. She just pulled up and went out. She came back and saved what she could save and cleared out what had to be cleared out, and of course John let her out of the lease, and so she's gone now. And so now this guy who's from New York, who's such an awesome guy, has got a tent pitched out back by his pool area in his screened in area, which got a little bit of damage, but not horrible. For the foreseeable future, to camp out back of his house, because you can't live in those houses once they get the mold spurs growing in them. They're unlivable. You got to get that stuff cleaned out properly so that you don't get sick, so that you don't get dead. So I stayed there, like, how long you think you're going to stay? I was like, at least 3 days. 3 days came. Fig, he had some commitments, very important commitments back home. He, his wife's birthday coming up. Can't miss that. When I found out he had to, was going to have to leave for a few days, I was like, well, I'm going to stay a little bit longer, take a drink, sorry. I didn't want to leave him, so I told him, I said, another big thing. And if you've caught any of my videos, you know this. I believe it was, trying to remember if it was, everything blurs together. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. The guy shows up with a camper. Like a 30-footer, 28 at least. It's like, hello, I'm Landy from Ocala. Here's your camper. And I mean, they had known that Bear was working on this through Grindstone again, getting them a place to live. Because, like I say, you can't live in that house, and I mean, most people can't afford to live in a hotel or lease an apartment or whatever, and really, even if you could, you can't hardly find anything to, even before Ian, you were having a hard time finding housing, especially, close to Paradise. So they didn't know what the heck they were going to do, so this guy, really, really amazing dude, shows up. Here you go. Hands him the title. So a whole travel trailer donated to him. So that was another big, huge blessing. So now they got in the trailer, and Aaron came out. Power came back on Wednesday. We all went through, started kind of checking things out, making sure everything was okay, not leaving everything on, leaving a few circuits on just to be able to have access to things. But the water had came back on too. It was a boil water advisory until I think it was Thursday evening. The boil water advisory was taken off. So once again, each day I was there, I see little blessings and big blessings, and I mean it just makes your heart swell. It really does. Just such a an emotional week, but good emotions because you just see all this overwhelming open-heartedness pouring out each day, and then you also see how strong and how resilient these people are of everything they're going through, everything they've already went through, you know, throughout the last decade. And they're just still so strong. And I think one thing I thought of last night was, if I have any regrets about this week, it's probably that I didn't just like just hug more. And I think that what happened in 2020 and that thing that's been going on that still hasn't let some people get their lives back to normal has made people hug less. And Keely and Janine and John, if you ever see this live stream, or well, it's not going to be live, but if you ever see this upload, just know that that's probably my only regret, was that I didn't hug you more. I didn't give you more of that emotional outpouring that sometimes that might be all you need. You might not even need somebody to talk. You might just need somebody to hug you. And I wish I would have been a little more forthcoming like that, because I don't think there's been a whole lot of females around to the point yet, and maybe they would have felt comfortable. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. I mean, I've just known them for a week now, but I did. That was one thing I thought of, was, maybe they needed more hugs. Maybe they needed more human interaction, and maybe I could have done that and I didn't. And I think that's just one thing I always kind of do to myself, and I think a lot of people are thinking, what else could I have done? Maybe I didn't do enough hard work. Maybe something else I should have did physically. I don't know. I mean, I took a lot of tools, and I used some tools, but I didn't use all my tools. And one thing I thought was I should have used all my tools, But I did go over to John's on Wednesday afternoon. He got his power back too, and he was letting things dry out. And he's like, because I had told him, I'm an electrician. I've did electrical work for 20 years. I've never had to deal with a flood. So I'm definitely not an expert. And I'm not an expert on Florida. Florida codes are more strict than Tennessee codes, than Kentucky codes. I'm definitely not here in any sort of a electrical professional manner. I know electric. I know everything I need to probably know about electric. But I did not want to be there in any sort of, hey, I think we need to do it this way. That was not me at all. That was not anything I wanted to do. I wanted to be a hand. I wanted to lend a hand. And I hope I lent a hand. But I didn't want to make any decisions on anything. But once I got over to John's, I think he kind of, we opened up a little bit, and we had some good conversation, and I was able to go through and help him figure out a lot of things about his electrical panel that, You know, he'd never gotten it labeled. He had bought the house 4 years ago. He had came down. He had done some work himself. He's always been around the construction field. Very intelligent man. Knows how to. He's kind of one of those jack of all trades. He's even got brake pads on the way for his Mercedes. You know, he has every tool basically he needs to take care of things like that. So I went over, helped him wrung out his panel, figured out what circuit was what, because that's going to be really important coming forward as far as doing all the replacings and everything. So anyway, on Tuesday, I guess it was, Keely had been making conversations with. There's a veterans group there local named Home Base. Big shout out to them. That was her workout crew. Going to the gym together kind of crew. And camaraderie, being a shoulder to lean on kind of crew. So, you know, there's Jaime and Armando. They came over with a crew, you know, like 5 of them. They did a lot of the outside stuff, clearing out a lot of branches and, you know, stuff, debris all over the ground and everything. And they were also going behind Fig and I, hauling out wheelbarrows full of sheetrock that we were finishing up, tearing out the sheetrock. They were going through there, clearing that up for us, so that was awesome. And then they had a guy who showed up with a dump truck, with a truck, with a dump trailer, and a skid steer. And I was like, I mean, it's just amazing, you know. Here's one more thing that shows up that just makes it awesome. Even though it's not awesome, it's still awesome. And this dude starts loading stuff up. And by the time that day was over with, they had removed and took to the dump 5 tons of debris of the aftermath. And they even footed the bill on it. So just once again, one of those amazing blessings. We spent a lot of time out front. It's kind of like our little area. There's a canopy and table and chairs sitting around. And so just able to make a lot of really good connections with people and to make a lot of really good fellowshipping and prayer, a lot of prayer, just trying to heal. And even though these girls and John, they went through this. Oh, and there's another neighbor named Terry. He came over, brought his dog over. That was really cool too. But I feel like it was just as good for myself. It was just as good for Fig. It was just as good for Aaron, like to be able to talk and just to be able to share, everybody has problems. I don't care who you are in this world. I don't care how sound you think you are, how devoted to one or other religion or believings or personal life or job or family life. No matter how devoted you are to this, that, and the third, you still have problems. And that's an amazing part of being able to sit around with a lot of open-hearted people. Is as much as they're willing to talk to you about what they're going through, they're also willing to listen. So that right there in itself is just a huge thing. And I'll never forget that. And I hope I can go back. I really want to. I mean, they even were like, you just come stay right here, and I feel like I could I could almost just drop everything for this winter and just go. A lot of decisions to be made, that's for sure. Um, and so that almost rounds it up. But what I was gonna say was this: so, like, I left yesterday morning, Friday, October 14th, to try to make my way back because, I mean, by no means am I a wealthy person, and so I have to go do a job. I have to go earn some money. So I had to go back to Tennessee, earn some money, But it was hard. It was really hard to leave. I didn't want to leave them. They were going to be, as far as I knew, by themselves last night. And I felt bad about that. I felt guilty. But I knew John's right next door, so, they're in the camper now. They're able to be locked in and secure, and I think they feel safer. Definitely a lot less mosquitoes in the camper. They got AC if it's not too cold. They got a safe place for their little kitties to be. And they're able to rest, I feel like that's a big thing because Janine took a nap on Thursday. She said that's the first time she actually took a nap, and she didn't know how long, but I think Thursday was the first time that she really maybe started to feel like she was catching up a little bit on sleep because, I mean, when you go through a disaster like this, you're just running on adrenaline and caffeine, and nicotine, for months, for weeks. You're not sleeping, So I was coming on up. I wanted to make it at least into Georgia. It's like almost 14-hour trip to get back home. I didn't want to drive it all the way. I probably could. I could have pulled off somewhere and tried to sleep for a couple hours, but I know how I am. I wouldn't have been able to. So at first I was like, I'll probably try to find a campground. And then I just have to say, I mean, creature comfort. I started thinking about it, and I was like, I want to get a hotel. So that's what I did, and as soon as I got in that hotel, I started thinking about how I wanted to take a shower. I was like, I'm going to take a shower. It's going to be warm water. I mean, I took a couple showers, if you will, but no hot water. Obviously the water heaters were inundated. The water heater had already been pulled out of the house. I mean, they don't have hot water, so so even though I was able to clean up and sleep in a bed, I started feeling so guilty. And I text them to check on them and make sure. They said, for me to let them know how far I made it and stuff, and so I did. I wanted them to know. They said, I hope you get a hotel and you can take a hot shower. And I said, I did, but I feel guilty about it. And Keely's like, don't feel guilty. There's no need to feel guilty. That's the people that they are. That's how they are. You know, they're gonna be sitting there. I mean, and they're so blessed compared to so many people. But still, I mean, you go from being Princess in the Pea, foster mom, to I've lost everything, to okay, I'm gonna live in this camper. And they are, I mean, I think they do have the water heater and stuff going down, but I don't know. It just gets emotional just thinking about all the suffering that everybody who's been affected down there is going through. And I haven't even gotten into it. And I didn't even go. Like once I got there, that was it. I parked. I didn't go anywhere else for the entire week because, like I say, I was not there for sightseeing. But I can't even imagine what it looked like any further down towards the ocean than what it looked like right there in their like subdivision, because it was horrible. But they're just the greatest people. They're just so great, you know. They're so awesome because here I was, you know, getting a salad from Cracker Barrel and a bowl of beans last night and just texting with my new friends, my new family, with them being happy that I got a shower and I was staying in a Jameson Inn last night, you know. Meanwhile, they're staring at all the adversity that they're going to be going through for the next few months. So I'm getting ready to call this one. I don't know if anybody ever came on. I doubt it, and maybe somebody will watch this eventually. I don't know. If you do, and you find it in your heart, when Grindstone, when they get back, not only are they going to be helping Keely and Janine and John and whoever else on the street needs help, but they're also looking to help first responders. So, you know, policemen, firefighters, EMS, who lost their things too. They're hoping to have enough volunteers to be able to help in many different ways the area. So if you are anyone who has a heart that is like, you know, I want to serve the Most High, and I want to do it by doing this, then you need to hit them up at admin@grindstoneministries.com and let them know however it is that you want to serve. You know, whether you want to go and be boots on the ground, whether you want to send a donation. They also have an Amazon wish list going on right now. Or whether you have some kind of information about somebody, I think specifically, like I say, first responders. If you have any information about any first responders in that immediate, that North Fort Myers Beach area, Sanibel area, Pine Island area, who needs help, send it to admin@Grindstone Ministries. That's how you get the intel. That's how you get the ball rolling. You know, I gave the info I got a cousin who's captain up in Alachua County, And he's got friends who are Lee County officers. So I gave him that email a couple weeks ago, you know. That's the only way you can get the word out, is to talk about it and spread it. And like Fig says, one person tells one more person, and that person might tell 15 people, who knows. But if you can, if you find it in your heart, even if you can't yourself go and serve, or you can't, you know, you just like, you know, anybody else, or maybe even worse, you might be on a fixed income, you can't afford to give them any kind of support financially, at least do what you can to get the word out. If you know anybody who can't afford it, try to pass this info along, because I just feel like in my heart it's absolutely worth it. I mean, these people earned 100% of my respect, you know. I mean, not only is this a Gold Star family, you know, it's a Gold Star family with a, you know, a disabled veteran raising foster kids, and got a baby coming in her future. So please, I just ask you, if you see this and you feel like there's any way you can get the word out, you know, like I say, not only is Grindstone helping out this family, but they're going to help out as many people as they possibly can here week after next when they get back from Oklahoma. So much love. I'm going to go ahead and cut this live stream now. I'm sure there'll be more things I think about to talk about that I didn't think about. And also, when I get back to Tennessee, I don't know if it'll be this weekend or at least sometime coming up this week, I will try to put out just a few more videos of a little bit of footage that I got. And just keep your head out for that veterans group. They got some PR connections, and they're going to try to make this story public so Lee and Janine can get some help. So much love. Stay strong. Fight the good fight. Once again, admin@grindstone.com. If you want to put a face to a name, go to Bear Independent here on YouTube. That's TJ Moore. Bear Independent. That way you can put a face to a name. And if you feel compelled any way at all to help, anything at all, any kind of intel, any kind of donations, anything that you need any information on to pass the word along, send them an email to admin @grindstoneministries.com. Much love.